This is a land that has had a major impact on the history of Europe and today is a leading player in international politics. But thanks to its own somewhat complicated history that spans well over 1,000 years, it still retains a sense of romance and tradition. Because here you really can find fairy tale castles, medieval towns, deep dark forests, sizzling sausages and foaming mugs of beer. Willkommen in Deutschland. Welcome to Germany. And where better to start my culinary experience of Germany than here in Wurzburg, which is in the heart of one of the most important wine-producing regions in Germany, Franconia. This town's not only just potty about wine, but also it's full of surprises. Every corner you turn, there's some wonderful architecture to be seen. Now, Karl-Heinz, he lives here. Karl, good to see you.
Hey, Bill.
Now,
great to see you.
This is a wonderful palace. What's the history behind this building here?
Well, this palace is the former palace of the Wurzburg Prince Bishops. They have ruled, dominated the area for about 500 years, and they constructed this palace back in the beginning of the 19th century, right? Actually, they took over 40 years to construct it.
I'm not surprised.
And, well, the most interesting thing about the palace, of course, are the wine cellars. There are about 50,000 square feet of wine cellars underneath this palace.
You've no idea how lucky I feel to be here, because not only do I love wine, but this is a very special place. There can't be many places like this in the world.
You're right. Experts consider this wine cellar to be one of the most beautiful wine cellars in the world.
Well, let's try some of its offerings. We've got 3 bottles here, 3 types, and let's just try this one here. This is, in fact, an award winner by the looks of things. It's got a medal, or the emblem of a medal attached to the bottle. What is this one?
Well, this is a Sylvaner grape variety, is Sylvaner, and Sylvaner is the most typical grape variety that we've got here in Franconia. Sylvaner and Franconian wine is almost something like a synonymous.
This is a very smooth wine. It's not at all sweet. I don't believe this is German wine because we often think that German wines are sweet.
No, this is definitely not true. I know many people tend to think that German wines are sweet and cheap. This is not true for our Franconian wines. Our Franconian vintners, they want their wines to be dry and expensive.
So why don't we get any of this in the UK?
To be honest, approximately 70% of our local wines, we drink them right here. So there's nothing left for export.
I don't blame you. Keep all the good stuff for yourselves. Cheers. This is really very nice indeed. Very smooth. And what I love about this place, that Franconia isn't a large region really, is it? And yet you've got so many different types of wines on offer. We're only looking at 3 here. There are many, many more. What's the next one?
Well, our next one is wine from the Wurzburg Stein. This is the largest and most famous Franconian site. And the wine from the Wurzburg Stein, as a matter of fact, has been the favorite wine of the famous German poet and writer Johann Wolfgang von Goethe.
You know, that gives us an idea of the history of this, because I mean, that was, what, 250 years ago?
It was in the beginning of the 19th century. He used to drink 3 liters of this wine personally and per day.
I don't blame him, because this actually, I have to say, I think this has got a slight more bite to it, hasn't it? It's a bit more tarty, a little bit more dry, a little bit more of a fizz on the tongue. That really is a lovely grape, isn't it?
Well, the grape variety is Riesling. So Riesling, of course, is the uncrowned king among the German wines.
It's all going down very well. I'm glad to see we've got another bottle here. It's a blue bottle. Does that mean anything, the blue colour?
Not the blue color particularly, but the shape of the bottle, of course, is very typical for our Franconian wines, and we call this wine bottle the Boxbeutel. Now, it's a strange word, even in German, and the name and the size of this blue bottle are reminding us of a scrotum of a billy goat.
A what?
A scrotum of a billy goat. Mind you, in former times it was not that cheap and not that easy to make glass bottles, so they castrated the billy goats and they used those type of soft bottles to carry their daily wine ration along with them.
You've been drinking, haven't you?
Not too much yet.
He's serious. Well, let's just try it then. I mean, that does put me off a little bit, but that's amazing. So that is the traditional meaning behind the shape of this bottle? Well, I suppose it makes sense. Let's just try this. Again, a different type of grape. Now that's sweeter, without a doubt. That's definitely sweeter.
It is. We would call it a fruity grape variety. We are growing and cultivating well over 20 different grape varieties in this area. So our wines are very kind of individual wines. They're not brand wines.
I'm really impressed, and it's a shame that they don't really have a wider audience, but I don't blame you for keeping all these wonderful wines to yourselves. Now listen, we've had 3. Any chance of cracking that one open? There is a huge array of regional delicacies on offer throughout Bavaria, as I discovered at a bakery in Rottenburg and a famous market in Munich. This stall not only caught my eye, it also caught my nose. The smell is wonderful here. Vicky, what sort of stall is this?
Well, this is a very Mediterranean stall, not very typical German, but and also pickles and olives and so on. It's great fun to watch. To be around
so a lot of Mediterranean ingredients, I should say. So, for example, we've got peppers. I mean, is it possible to try some of these
Yes,
things?
I'm sure, yes. These are stuffed peppers with sauerkraut, I think.
That is sauerkraut, which is obviously typically German.
Yes. Ja, bitte, ja.
Oh, thanks very much.
I'll give you a little fork.
Or a little fork or something just to try that. And but pickling things is very common in Germany?
Very much so, yes. We eat a lot of gherkins and beetroot pickled and so on. So it's very German, yes.
Thank you very much. Right, here we go. We'll try some of that.
Looks good.
God, it's quite strong. Enough to blow your lederhosen off, I tell you. That is very strong. Thank you very much. Can I have something?
Something milder. There are also type of cucumber.
Oh yes, the white things, yeah.
Können Sie ein kleine geben, weil ich möchte auch nur so essen.
The price there, £5.99. That's around about 6 marks.
Yes,
so
6 marks.
That's about £2.
£2, yes, per kilo, yeah.
And this is typically German?
Yes, that's something very German, yes.
All right, well let's just try some of that before we move on to something else. And
well, that is mild. That's not. Shouldn't be so strong.
It doesn't look good, but there again, you should never let your eyes be the judge of this. It's got a very sweet flavour
yes,
to it. It's almost like the traditional German sweet mustard.
Yes, we do that with meats, especially with game.
We can't pass by a meat stand, can we, while we're here? And Vicky, here we haven't got necessarily fresh meat, but this is meat which has been prepared, it's been smoked, it's been cured, it's been dried or whatever.
That's right, yes. We eat a lot of, like everywhere in Germany, we eat a lot of sausages here.
And this is really very popular. Would you have this at breakfast time or in any meal?
A little bit, yes. I mean, some people do have a little bit of sausage for breakfast, but I would say nowadays not so much.
Well, is it possible to try some of that lovely ham there? Because we've got sausages, we've got ham. And this is smoked?
This is smoked, yes. Smoked ham.
Smoked ham. Look how lean it is.
Yes, it's lean and it's usually cut very thin as well.
Very thin indeed. So let's You can really taste the flavour of the smoke in that. It's excellent. Ah, Johan, this is what a bakery is all about, eh?
Yeah, I like bakeries in Germany.
Can you point out some of the traditional German pastries we've got here? Because some I do recognise, but any specific German ones?
Any specific? The baker will tell us about
maybe
Schneckennudel.
Schneckennudel.
Schneckennudel, it's a sweet dough and it's a typical Bavarian specialty.
This is really from Bavaria?
It's really from Bavaria, right?
Can I try it?
Right. Can I have something?
So it's got a sweet top to it. There we go.
Try it, right?
Yes, please. This would go well with coffee, yeah?
Of course, right?
It's very light. It's crunchy on the top and very light indeed.
Well, I hope so, right? So that's correct, right? Okay.
Thank you. What about this here?
The nutcrackers have the name. We have the nutcrackers here in the Christmas shop, but nutcrackers are typically sweet with the hazelnut or with the almonds and the chocolate and sugar. But it's not so typical for Rothenburg itself. Rothenburg is very famous, the snowballs. Not only during the winter time, we have the snowballs on the bakeries always around the year. You see here in the back, the snowballs, different colors, sweet.
So the Schneeballen.
That's right.
This is the snowball, and this is one of your specialities here.
That's our specialty here in Rothenburg. During the Middle Ages, snowballs are made. And we are making snowballs for this time too.
How do you make them? What do they consist of?
It's a dough with a lot of eggs, and it's also baked like, well, I would say like donuts, but with a very different taste because, as I say, it's another dough with a lot of eggs and also baked in peanut oil.
What happens next?
Yeah, the original. You have
So
the powder.
original.
You have the powder sugar on the snowballs. That's the kind of
After
name.
baking, right, you can have powdered sugar snowballs, or with cinnamon sugar, as you can see it. And the other one, they are with different kinds of chocolates or fillings. Here I have lemon flavor, and that is amaretto marzipan, or dark chocolate, hazelnut chocolate, coconut, croquant, marzipan, and nougat.
There's so many, but
Right.
I really want to try one of these because they look delicious. Which one would you recommend? I mean, I would like to go for a traditional one. Which are the traditional ones?
Well, I think you try maybe powdered sugar or cinnamon sugar.
Okay, I'll go for the powder
Right?
sugar.
Do you like powdered sugar? Okay.
Lovely.
Okay.
So
So,
powder
you will try
sugar
one?
snowball.
Okay.
Oh yeah, look at that. I mean, I can't put all that in my mouth. It's a bit big. What's the best way to do it? Do
You break it with your hands,
Oh right.
right?
So I've got to break it open like that.
Okay.
Ah, look at that. It really is very crispy and crunchy. I'm looking forward to trying this. So it's made in a similar way to a donut, but the outcome is very different. Let's just... That is crunchy. And the sugar, I suppose that's why you call it a snowball, because of all this...
Right. So that's the name, right? So you're right. Okay.
That is really very good. But it's the bratwurst which is held in the highest regard here, so I travelled to the sausage kitchens of Nuremberg and Regensburg to find out more. Gert, the city is steeped in history, but clearly food is very important here.
Yes, food has always been very important to the Nurembergers, especially, you know, the spicy food, the gingerbread cookies, and, you know, the Nurembergers in the Middle Ages have been nicknamed for that as the pepper sacks, because they were mainly dealing in spicy and food.
And you mentioned ginger cookies.
Yeah, the famous Lebkuchen. They are made of ginger, bread, nuts, honey, and it's the famous and preferred food during Christmas period.
So very sweet things are clearly very popular. What about meat?
Well, especially pork. Pork is our first meat. We eat much pork and beef, marinated beef as sauerbraten, then of course poultry, but especially pork. We eat lots of pork.
Yeah, and the old sausage is pretty popular here too, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, you mentioned it. The sausages are the most famous. The Nuremberg sausages are the most famous sausages in the world, I think.
And they are called?
The bratwurst.
That is the famous bratwurst from here?
Yes, yes.
Specifically from here?
The Nuremberg bratwurst, the small ones.
Yeah, and they'd be serving them all day?
Oh, they serve them from 10 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the evening, all day.
You know a good place?
Oh yes, very close to here, the best one.
Lead the way.
Okay, we got there.
We're in the right place, Gert. The smoke is rising from the ovens and it's a lovely smell out here. This is it.
Yeah, you're perfectly right. This is it. This is one of the very few true and famous Bratwurstküchen, the Bratwursthäusle.
Well, why do you think it is so famous here?
Well, it depends certainly on the quality of the owner of that house, and also of the quality of the sausages, the material they are made of, and the way they are grilled on the oven. So there are a few things very interesting on that Bratwurst history.
And what is the history of this particular house here? Has it been here all the time?
It has been here during many years before the war, during the Middle Ages, but built straight against the wall of the church. Then the church was destroyed during wartime, and after the war they rebuilt the little house a few meters away from the church.
But despite that, the bratwurst still tastes the same as it did in the Middle Ages.
You bet, they still taste the same.
Let's try them.
Okay.
Well, Gert, my tour guide, he's decided to take things easy and he sent me here to the kitchen to cook his lunch. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing, but I'm lucky enough to have the owner here, Kai. He's here to help me. Kai, good to see you. As we're cooking, I'd love you to tell me a little bit more about the bratwurst and why yours are so successful. Why are they so good?
Well, our secret is freshness. We make them every day, starting at 6 o'clock in the morning till the afternoon, and everything that is left in the evening we put in vacuum packs or in cans to sell them over the street.
Yes.
So the next morning you come, you eat sausage here, you have the fresh ones.
So they're always fresh sausages, nothing from the day before. Now, what about the meat? How important is it for the cut of meat you use?
Oh, this is one of the main things. We only use the shoulder and the ham of the pork, nothing else.
I mean, that's the best bit. Nobody, in England, we wouldn't dream of using that for sausage.
Well, most of my fellow restaurants also wouldn't do that, but we do it, so I hope that's the reason we have the best product.
Yeah, but is there a special little recipe you have for the seasoning along with the meat? I mean, it's not just pure meat. You put something else in there, don't you?
Yeah, there goes majory, salt and pepper inside, and then, of course, a couple of secret spices. Everybody has his own secret. We too, but of course I can't tell you.
No, I thought you wouldn't. Right, now, how many sausages would somebody eat normally? 4 or 5 for lunch, or a bit more than
Well, the regular helping, I'd say, is 8. And if somebody's very hungry, we take 10 or 12, and then it goes in these heart-shaped plates.
How many will Gert eat, do you think? Now, I'm here on the banks of the River Danube in the wonderful historical city of Regensburg. And over here is the oldest sausage kitchen in the world. And the aroma beckons. And here's Andreas's mum, very busy with the sausages here in the kitchen. And hello.
Hello.
Hello. I know that your mother doesn't speak much English, so Andreas, maybe I could ask you, what is the secret behind a good bratwurst?
Well, they are naturally made just of pork, of the ham of the pork, and without any chemical fittings.
It's all totally natural?
Totally natural.
And you're cooking them over a special wood, or is it just charcoal?
It's a mixture between a special wood and the German expression is Holzkohle. I don't know the English expression for it now. And
that gives it a really good flavour
yes,
as well.
It gives us a little wooden taste, you know,
wooden flavour,
wooden smoky taste.
Yes, smoky, of course, that's the word I'm looking for. Now, what about the size and the width and the length of a bratwurst? Do they have to be a certain size? Is there a regulation?
Yes, we say that it's got the size of a grocer's finger, you know.
Is that right? And they have to be that size in order to qualify?
They have to be, yes, they have to be. They should have the same size every time, because otherwise the people would complain about too short sausages. Just
very briefly, the history of the bratwurst, am I right in saying that it used to be made so people can pop the sausage through doors and keyholes and underneath prison cells, cell doors?
Yes, that's a nice joke on the sausages, and we accept it just this way.
It's a myth, really.
Yes.
And how long, briefly, does your mother have to cook these for?
How long one piece has to be cooked to be finished?
Yes.
It takes about 8 to 10 minutes.
Wonderful. So these will be ready then?
Yes.
I think we should try some. Now, Andreas, the bratwurst here, it comes with sauerkraut.
Yes, sauerkraut is the traditional food to the sausages, which we produce ourselves, and it fits to the sausages, and it's also good for your digestion. Good
for the digestion, right? Well, I'm going to try some of these and see what the flavour's like. We were talking earlier about the wood producing a smoky flavour, so let's see. The smell already gives it away that it's going to taste good, but it really is a lovely combination. These are lovely sausages, they really are. Now, we have also some mustard.
Yes. Also, the mustard is produced from ourselves.
Well, you make the sauerkraut and the mustard to go with your bratwurst.
Yes. It's made of sugar, Essig. I don't know the English expression.
It's the mustard seeds with sugar, and a lot of sugar in it, no doubt.
It's sugar.
Yeah.
It's kind of meal. It's kind of meal in it.
It's not
water.
Strong, is it? It's not strong mustard. And that sugar really does offset it beautifully. So it's not strong. It doesn't bite the tongue at all, and it's really very sweet. It goes very nicely with these sausages, I have to say. No trip to Bavaria is complete without a visit to a traditional German brewery, and of course, sampling some of its famous local beers. The moment has arrived when we can now experience the result of all that hard work, and it looks magnificent in these bottles here. So, could you pour some for me, please?
Yes, I want to show you how we fill the beer in the glass, because it's very complicated. From the fermenting in the bottle, it has a high pressure.
So the beer is actually still fermenting in the bottle, even just before we drink it?
4 weeks it is fermenting in the bottle.
All right, so can you show me, please, how to pour this properly?
We take it very slowly and make no foam, since we have the half in the glass. And then we take the foam. And then we make the yeast going around. It's very good for the good looking and for the health.
That's what I've always wanted to hear, that beer is good for you. So don't let anybody convince you otherwise. Beer is good for you.
And
we've heard it officially.
Take the yeast inside. And now the yeast is coming here, you see.
And we can see the yeast clouding up there in the top.
It's clouding, yeah.
And so that is full of goodness, and you've done that professionally. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to do the same, but I'll give it a go here. And the beer itself has had 4 weeks to ferment in the bottle, and I'm trying to pour it delicately down the side. And as we get to about 3/4, I can now tilt the bottle up like that. Maybe I should have done it a little later. No, that's looking good.
Okay.
I'll stop there.
Okay.
There we go.
And now comes the yeast.
And I swirl that around, and in goes the yeast. Okay. Perfect. Now, the beer is, it's slightly cloudy because of the yeast. Let's now experience the taste, because this is wheat beer, as we know.
Yes.
And this is very different to other types of beer.
It has a smell like flowers. And in Bavaria we say before, Prost.
Prost.
For your health.
Right, and I notice you hit the bottom of the glass.
On the bottom,
there.
yeah.
Okay, Prost, for your good health. And this is obviously good for your health. It is very, very nice indeed. It's, you can really taste the flavour of the wheat and the yeast there. Is this beer available anywhere else in Germany?
We are a small brewery. We are only 100 kilometers around here, not all around the world.
So this really is a unique experience. It really is to be tasting this beer.
It's a speciality from the region here.
Well, that really is a wonderful experience. And of course, the sense of history here, because just behind us, we have what I believe is to be probably the oldest wheat beer poster in the world. This is a copy of that poster behind us?
This is a copy of the oldest wheat beer poster in the world.
And you have the original back in the brewery?
I have the original, and we know no one which is older. It's the oldest.
This is just a wonderful experience. So let's, another Prost, and again at the bottom of the glass.
At the bottom.
Prost.
Prost.